So we've finally finished the first premise and the factors that support it. Let's move on to the second premise. The beginning event was caused. So again, when we look at this, the path is the universe had a beginning. The beginning event was caused. The cause was personal. By caused, there are four uses we could think of. And by cause, at least in this particular talk, we're talking about the first three. We're talking about a material cause, and that the stuff the universe, stuff in the universe from which something is made, and that something is caused to be because of the material. The formal cause, which are the properties of something, its form. The efficient cause, and that is a cause which changes something. Then the final cause, which is the end goal for something, which is not part of this discussion. That's really a teleological argument. So we're referring to the first three uses below: the material cause, the formal cause, and the efficient cause. Now, when we talk about the universe, not cause means it is without antecedent. Now, we have to be careful here and define our terms and focus our thinking, because by not caused, we don't mean random, and we don't mean an accident. Not cause means it without material, formal, efficient, or final cause. And this is outside of our experience, and I would submit it's likely outside our imagination. Can you imagine something to come into existence that has no material, formal, efficient, or final cause? Now, when we talk about material, well, we're talking about the universe. So something outside the universe doesn't have to be made of material, but it needs to be a formal and efficient cause. So again, can you think of anything that has ever been not caused? So we have four reasons to believe the universe was caused. 2.1, each event needs a cause. This is a metaphysical axiom. We'll define what we mean by that. 2.2 is that experience shows that each event needs a cause. This is induction. This is based on our experience. 2.3, things do not pop into existence uncaused. This is reductio ad absurdum. And 2.4, it completely undermines rationality. It's hyper-skepticism to believe that the universe was uncaused, or it leads to hyper-skepticism. So 2.1, each event needs a cause. William Lane Craig says, what the defender of the Kalam argument maintains is that it is really impossible for something to come from nothing. But how can this be shown? I think that one could produce arguments for the principle, but since the principle is so intuitively obvious in itself, it would be perhaps unwise to do so. For one ought not to try to prove the obvious via the less obvious. I think he has a very good point, in that the law of cause and effect seems so obvious, so intuitive, so plain, that any attempt to justify it is going to be more complex than the obvious. But let's proceed anyway. Let's talk about what I'll call metaphysical axioms. These are things that are always true, everywhere, not only in our universe, but in every possible universe. These are things that I submit are true beyond our universe. So let's see it. An axiom is an irreducible primary. It doesn't rest upon anything in order to be valid, and it cannot be proven by any more basic premises. A true axiom cannot be refuted because the act of trying to refute it requires that very axiom as a premise. An attempt to contradict an axiom can only end in a contradiction. So notice, to disprove the axiom, you need to use the axiom. So what axioms do we believe? Well, existence exists, and I am conscious. Things are themselves. And the laws of logic. To disprove the laws of logic, I need to use the laws of logic. And I submit the law of cause and effect, and that effects are preceded by cause, also fits into this category. And we'll see that when we talk about hyperskepticism, and that to disprove the law of cause and effect, I need to use the law of cause and effect. So by law of cause and effect, we mean nothingness cannot create or cause anything, something cannot create itself, and cause and effect don't ever occur in reverse. So why do I bring this up? Well, I bring this up because, as Craig said in the last slide, this seems so obviously true that to not believe it requires justification and can't just be pushed aside. And so what is the justification for not agreeing that the law of cause and effect is a metaphysical axiom? So by metaphysical axiom, we use the word law in the law of cause and effect, but we don't mean a physical law. We don't mean a law constrained to this universe. We mean a metaphysical law. Just like the laws of logic transcend our universe, so the law of cause and effect transcends our universe. And it says, out of nothing, nothing comes. This is not only recognized by Christians, but Aristotle said being only arises from being. This is a fundamental philosophical metaphysical law. To deny this principle requires using the principle. You must acknowledge it to deny it. And again, it is more probable than its opposite. What I mean is, can we conceive of anything with no antecedent? And if we can't conceive of it, and I don't actually mean imagine it in our as a fairy tale, I mean actually conceive of it being in reality. If we can't conceive of it being in reality, then clearly no antecedent is less probable than the law of cause and effect. So the law of cause and effect has the same standing as the laws of logic because it is an axiom. Now, I've read some material, and Craig has addressed this, where they would say, well, we appeal to the Scottish skeptical philosopher David Hume. David Hume was a interesting character. He questioned the law of cause and effect, whether we could actually know it. But he said, I never asserted so absurd a proposition as that anything might arise without a cause. I only maintained that our certainty of the falsehood of that proposition proceeded neither from intuition nor demonstration, but from another source. He didn't actually say the law of cause and effect was null and void. He just questioned how we could know it was there. Again, he said, I never asserted that anything arises without a cause. So 2.2, experience shows that each event has a cause. All experience everywhere shows an event needs a cause. This is constantly confirmed by experience and used to interpret our experience. How could, even if we see an event, an action occur, the law of cause and effect is needed for us to be able to interpret that. We see it with our eyes. Photons hit our, the neuroreceptors in our eyes. Electrical signals are transmitted through our nervous system. Those are all chains of cause and effect. So not only just seeing it, but interpreting it requires the law of cause and effect. Again, every accident has a cause. Even when we say there's an accident, it's not that there was no cause, it's just that it was unexpected. So it's never been disproved scientifically that that an event can happen without a cause. In fact, science requires each event to need a cause. Science cannot ever work if events happen without a cause. Think of it. You're in a lab and something spontaneously happens without a cause. Well, how can you formulate any laws or any conclusions if that were to happen? So rejection of experience shows each event has a cause means that the universe is truly random and chaotic in all possibilities, but we don't live this way. Let's move on to 2.3. Things do not pop into existence uncaused. Let's assume that the universe popped into existence from nothing. Well, if that's true, why are we only going to allow universes to pop into being uncaused? Why just universes popping into being? Well, there can't be anything about nothingness that stops other things from popping into being. Remember, if the universe can pop into being, well, why just one? Why not many? And well, it can't be that nothing is stopping it, because nothing has no causal or relational properties. Nothing has no potential. It has no state of being whatsoever. So nothingness can't stop things from popping into being because it's nothing. So the question remains, why don't other things just pop into being? William Lane Craig says, if the universe can come into being without a cause, then why doesn't anything and everything come into being all the time without a cause? I would say if everything can pop into existence, then this should continue. A more classical description or formal statement is given by William Lane Craig is, for example, Jonathan Edwards' argument in his On a Freedom of the Will that something cannot come into existence uncaused because it then becomes inexplicable why just anything and everything does not come into existence uncaused. It cannot then be said that only things of a certain nature come into existence uncaused, because prior to their existence they have no nature which could control their coming to be. Let's try a proof by reductio ad absurdum. 1. Nothing has no existence. I think that's true. Seems obvious. Nothing has no limiting power because it has no causal or relational expression. Nothing has no properties, no potentialities, no being in any context. Nothing cannot constrain the creation of something from nothing, because nothing is nothing. Let's assume that the universe did pop into existence from nothing. Well, if we take 1, 2, and 3, there's nothing to constrain things smaller than the universe from popping into existence. If something as big as the universe can pop into existence, and there's nothing stopping smaller things from popping into existence, then the universe itself cannot constrain things from popping into existence from nothing, but because there's no way to constrain nothing, since nothing is not a thing. It can't be like the universe says, oh, I'm here now, I'm going to stop the machine that creates stuff from doing stuff, because there is no machine that's creating stuff. It's nothingness. So things are not constrained from popping into existence. If something as big as the universe can pop into existence, and something smaller than the universe can pop into existence, seems logical. So there should be observations that things popped into existence from nothing, but it's not observed that things pop into existence from nothing. Therefore, the universe did not pop into existence from nothing. So, things do not pop into existence uncaused. 2.4 is that if we were to reject the law of cause and effect, or if it completely undermines rationality. In particular, there's special pleading going on. I read on the internet people who say, oh, well, the law of cause and effect only impacts our universe. What an absolutely stupid and bizarre statement. These people are not thinking, they're just reading something and regurgitating it. Shame on them. If they were my child, I'll tell them to smarten up. Because they need a reason why cause and effect cannot be limited to only things, well, rejecting the law of cause and effect. Why the law of cause and effect is only limited to things outside the universe. This is a fallacy called special pleading, and it needs justification. Why is it that they would say cause and effect only applies to the creation of the universe and things inside it? Again, I submit the law of cause and effect is a metaphysical axiom, and so they need a reason to say it doesn't apply outside the universe. If they say that cause and effect doesn't apply, then let's apply this rejection consistently. So, because what justification can be given to reject cause and effect without itself invoking cause and effect? Any justification needs cause and effect to be working. Let's do a proof by contradiction. Let's assume our thoughts do not follow cause and effect. Then our thoughts are random accidents. Well, both 1 and 2 are thoughts, so 1 and 2 are random accidents. But random accidental thoughts cannot be logical by definition, so our thoughts are not logical, so 1 and 2 are not logical, then both 1 and 2 are self-refuting and invalid. So, in fact, there's sort of a hint here that if we do think rationally, then the law of cause and effect needs to stand. So the summary of why the universe had a cause. There are 4 reasons to believe the universe was caused. Each event needs a cause. Experience shows that each event needs a cause. Things do not pop into existence uncaused. And it completely undermines rationality. Denial of any of these is really self-defeating because it breaks logic, and denial most certainly breaks science. But do people really live without either of these? These are the consequences. If you reject all 4, and you need to reject all 4 factors for premise 2 not to stand, denial of all 4 breaks science and breaks logic. Now, how many people actually live their lives like that? None. So on to the next.